Started. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Aggie Beat. I am Patrick Turner, and this is where we find out all the great things that are happening around campus, and we talk to our campus leaders to understand what's happening in their area and all the amazing things that they're doing for NMSU campus. Today we have, and we're lucky to have, Dr. Renay Scott, the Vice President of Student Success here at New Mexico State University, who has done some amazing work with the campus, with the students. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good, Patrick. Thanks for having me on today. It's really nice to be able to chat with you.
It is definitely an honor and a pleasure. We've been trying to do this for the longest, so you are the kickoff to our 2004 series. So for all of those folks out there that who may be under a rock and don't know what the Vice President of Student Success does, can you kind of give them a little bit of information on your role and what you do on campus?
Yeah, I appreciate that because when this particular title and role was developed, it really combined the student affairs piece with an enrollment management piece. And so I have certain responsibilities underneath me that weren't there based on the position before me. So we do everything from undergraduate recruiting to orientation to first year programming and initiatives. We've got all of student life, student conduct, Aggie health and wellness. I've got the records office. We do the commencement. And there's probably 12 other things there that we do as well. But I look at it this, it's all things students. We do whatever we can to help and support the students and give them the best experience possible.
Definitely, and I love that piece, all things students. So when we think about all things students, we know over the last maybe 2 going in 3 years, I kind of forget now, that we kind of encountered the pandemic. And now we're kind of returning back to campus. We've been back about a year and a half now maybe. So can you kind of give us an idea of kind of the impact of things that you have seen in returning back to campus from pandemic? Because sometimes people think we're at the end of the pandemic or it's not around anymore. But what are you seeing that compared to prior to the pandemic?
Totally. I think, the pandemic was not just an event. It was a shift. It was a shift for higher education about how they did some things. It was an impact to the students who were in high school at the time that has also shifted what they want from us in higher education and what their experience will be. And so frequently when you talk to leaders in positions like mine, they'll talk first and foremost about what we're seeing with the learning losses that are being exhibited with the national test of high school students. Without a doubt, we're going to see that, and faculty have seen that as well. But I think what's underspoken about is just students who spent 18 to 24 months online, at home, locked down, knowing how to enter society again. How do you talk to professors? How do you approach adults? How do you even make friends with one another? What's appropriate to socialize? And then there's still the pandemic out there. It's like, how can it impact my health? How can it deal with other things? So between isolation, a mental health and depression and anxiety impact and learning loss, we now have a different need and a different way we need to support these students as they come back into society and higher ed.
Right, definitely. And when you speak about that learning loss, you kind of look at different aspects of that learning loss, that the entire college experience coming into the school as a first year student or in the classroom, or just how to navigate this, because a lot of during the pandemic, students stayed at home.
Yes.
They stayed at home, they learned on the computers, so you didn't have that robust kind of interaction face to face, those learning, falling down, getting back up, so like you said, that learning loss is a big thing. So when we think about the learning loss, and particularly in the classroom, when you think about the faculty role in student success, how do you think, or what ways can a faculty help in some of these things of kind of the learning loss, the mental health piece, and all these other pieces that our students may have missed during that 2.5 year gap?
I'm glad you mentioned the faculty role in student success. If faculty are listening, what I want to tell them is your role is vital. It's far more important than mine. And in so many ways, your eyes on, you see the students, you interact with them in a more consistent way than most of us do. By the time they get to us, they're at a point that, the problem is really, accelerated, right? So faculty see these things on the front end. So one of the things I'd say to faculty more in the easier space is, if you see students who aren't coming to class, or there's behaviors there that, seem to indicate that, they're struggling in some way, use our early alert tool, put that person in touch, or put us in touch with the situation, because we have the time to outreach to students that you don't have. You're busy researching and teaching. From the pedagogical side, likely there's probably some shifts that are going to happen. When I was teaching in the classroom, there were certain assumptions I could make about my students coming in, about their prior knowledges and experiences. All that's been disrupted by this pandemic. So likely faculty are seeing things that they hadn't thought about before. And it's that point in time where we all together have to come as a community to say, hey, what are you seeing? And then how can we as a university support you not only in your growth in terms of pedagogy or different strategies, or what more do we have to provide to students to kind of get them caught back up?
Definitely. As you said, that kind of when we talk about the wraparound services, where you're bringing academic affairs and student affairs together, because again, when we talk about supporting the whole student, not just one unit can support the whole student. Students develop experiences around the entire campus. So that's definitely key with what you said as far as that pedagogical piece, and them being in the classroom and faculty seeing kind of these alerts or these issues or challenges at the front end, to be able to kind of do that early alert piece. So when we look at, because if you look at higher education over the last couple of years, it's been a drastic change. There's been a drastic change in the landscape. What do you see, if you had a crystal ball, what do you see that's possibly something that's coming that we need to pay attention to, that we need to brace for as we move forward in higher education?
Not only does the pandemic impact that, but there are some serious headwinds out there. And when I say serious headwinds, I don't know that it would be negative or positive. It's what we do with those headwinds that'll turn it into negative and positive, right? So for example, the pandemic, and even before the pandemic, people were questioning the value of higher education. Is it worth my time? Is it worth my money? People are leaving with debt. Good news is our student body leaves with far less average debt than most students. So that's good. But now the workforce is going, hey, I have employees work at home. So what skill set do we need to teach students to be successful in more independent working environments from home? Micro-credentials are becoming more and more important as technology is accelerating. AI is a game changer, and how fast it's evolving. And so a lot of times we think about learning in 16-week increments. I think we're going to have to rethink that. I think we're going to have to rethink what completion is. Is it a degree, or is it a credential? Is it both? And maybe even think of the fact that, when I look out down the road, it's possible students won't come and spend 4 years with us. They may come and spend 4 weeks, get a credential, be out for a few years, come back, get the next credential. So how do we stack that? So I think I'm not sure all of us are prepared for what the future is going to be in higher education. But the one thing I am confident is we're not going to go away. I think we're still important. And I think what will make us even more valuable is how can we, respond to these very seemingly headwinds that could actually be positive and take our sales and move us faster and further than we ever imagined.
Yeah, and I think that key piece, as you said, is it's not going anywhere. It's going anywhere. Every couple of years they start trying to decide what's the value of education. I think what they're kind of concerned is, are we adapting to a changing landscape? Are we adapting to our population of students? Because that's when you become obsolete, when you're not adapting. And as you said, the micro credentials, because I find myself getting those little credentials, and they're very helpful. They're very helpful. You process a lot of information, you process skills, and you're able to use those skills immediately. So definitely, as you said, I'm in that mindset that we are here to stay. It's just we're going to have to learn how to develop it more. So final question, if there's one thing you want to say to the Aggie community before we sign off, what would that be?
I'm fortunate in the sense that I've been able to travel a little bit now post-pandemic, right? So now I'm in community with a lot of my colleagues. What y'all sometimes don't recognize is just how out front we are on student success and retention, whether it be putting laptops in the hands of students, wonderful first-year experience classes that are really thoughtful, whether it be some of the wellness emphasizing we're doing. And so what I would say is, you know, oftentimes we're wondering what impact we're making. I am more confident every day when I talk to my colleagues that we at New Mexico State are on the cutting edge. We're providing a great experience, and our graduating seniors last year, 98% of them responded to the question, if you had it to do all over again, would you come to New Mexico State? 98% of them said they would. So Aggies, keep up the good work for sure.
And with that being said, go Aggies.
Awesome.